Yes, I guess kind of like what I'm playing on here, what I'm pointing out here as a means of discussing is the idea of how do we really create illusions, okay? Because we call, there's a lot of, I mean, we're creating illusions all the time, and there's different levels of illusions too, just like there's different levels of reality. So we have to kind of get more specific. We can't just say, you know, reality illusion, because all forms of interpretation at the psychological level form a subjective reality that is a form of illusion as a means of self, you know, how we perceive the world and how we, that's through our model of the world, how we express as a result, as opposed to the next guy, right? The next guy has a different perception and a whole different take on the same reality, right? But what I wanted to define it is in very practical terms, in sense of the real definition between an illusion and reality is knowledge that is learned and held, so to speak, at the theoretical level, that is never brought into practical application, never done, so to speak, never lived, never, you know, artfully practiced in our life to actually produce a result with it that demonstrates the knowledge, okay? And the reason, God, the reason I think this is so prevalent in our society is because our entire educational system right now, particularly academia, which is the college system that we have given a prestigiousness to, basically is teaching theoretical knowledge that where we are being told what to think, we're being given thoughts that's largely based on memorization, that a test in this day and age means a question that's supposed to prompt a regurgitation of some memorized fact that you write down as the answer, then you ace the test as a result, right? So we're turning out people with impressive degrees that have no idea how to bring that knowledge into practical reality, and it's a little bit of a problem. And so one way to look at the idea of what is true reality and what we call an illusion is to say that an illusion is knowledge that's theoretical, that we can talk about, profess, tell people, talk intelligently as if we know it, but we'll turn right around, walk out of the room, and not apply it at all, or not be able to apply it to our own everyday life, okay? As opposed to knowledge that is learned experientially and that emphasizes application, where we gain that knowledge and we learn through experience at the practical level of reality. So we could say that knowledge, things that we can do and produce the results with, that allows us to obtain knowledge of it, is in fact true reality, and information that is just theoretical in nature that we don't actually know how to do at the practical level, or we don't practice in our everyday life, and therefore we don't have true knowledge of it, exists in our mind as a self-made illusion that we never actually know how to do, we never actually live it. And this is very prominent of the teacher that teaches something that they don't know how to do themselves. And this, our world's full of this right now. I mean, this was the problem with the coaching profession, the mentoring, the different forms of training, was that people perceived themselves, presented themselves as teachers when they were grabbing a technique out of a bestseller or something and learning that technique and then walking out here and training it, teaching people a technique that they themselves didn't develop, have never practiced, have never used in their own life. They don't know for a fact that it even works, but they're thinking it does, right? Because everybody else seems to like it. You see what I mean? So, and they're calling themselves teachers, and they're teaching people about stuff that they themselves have no idea how to do, that they themselves have not been able to bring into practice in their own life. So there's an excellent possibility that the majority of the knowledge that's out in the world right now is illusion-based, because it is theoretical and not an actual means of practical application. And one of the most basic aspects of this is when you are being asked to believe, or you are being engaged, seduced into a idea that there is no way you can validate it, prove it, or actually experience it yourself as a way of knowing it, but you're being asked to believe something, invest your creative power in a belief that is completely theoretical in nature and that is not at all experienceable in your own everyday life. This is huge with ideas like, spaceships, being, taken up in spaceships and taken away, portals that exist at certain parts of the earth that you have to migrate to, and only certain people know where those portals are. All this type stuff is like completely theoretical in nature, and you're having to rely on somebody else's idea, somebody else's, knowledge, and hope like hell that they're telling you the truth as a means of doing it, because there is no way you're going to be able to know for a fact through your own experience that this is true. And you want to pay attention to the fact, there's a couple of things you want to really notice in all equations. One is that we are always responsible for our own soul development and our own choices, actions, reactions, behaviors. We are fully 100% responsible for ourselves. We do not have the luxury of blaming it on other people or saying, well, so-and-so told me and I didn't know any better. No. We have to be responsible for ourselves, okay? And all truth is knowable. All truth not only comes through your own inner intuition, talks to you inside. It's not via somebody else's opinion that you're being asked to believe over your own experience. It comes inside, and it comes by way of direct experience, which means that you have an experience of the knowledge, and that's what tells you it's true. That's what allows you to know it's true. So if you're being asked to engage in something that's outlandish or that's theoretical or that's out there, right, and that you're never going to be able to, you've never had an experience of it yourself. It's always been about somebody else that's talking about their experience about it, or their belief, or and this is very prominent. This goes hand in hand with the idea of channelers, or people that want to tell you, they want to get you to believe what they're saying because they said, I've been abducted, I've been up in a spaceship, I was allowed to see reality so that I could come back here and tell you. Once again, who knows if that's true, right? You have no way of proving it. You're going to have to just either take their word for it, trust that they're telling you the truth, but more importantly, you're going to have to completely give up your ability to self-direct, your ability to make choices based on what you know for a fact, based on reality, and put it all in their ballpark and just go with them and trust their opinion over your own. The other thing too is that people who channel other entities that appear intelligent, okay, because the scheme that goes on, with hypnosis, this is not hard to realize, is to come in, is to merge with intelligence, to merge with ideas that are very true, and then kind of lead it off by interjecting other ideas that are not necessarily true, or that are completely false actually, as a means of first getting your trust, it's like rapport, right? This is the basis of hypnosis. Gain rapport, develop trust, and then lead. And when you lead, they will follow, right? So they merge with current belief systems, act like they're about the same thing, talk out of true knowledge, and then begin interjecting suggestion that changes the nature of it, and it starts moving it in a different direction. And chances are, once you're engaged, and once you're forming it kind of like you're in a state of rapport or sympathy with the person, you just go right off in whatever direction they choose to take you. And this is why True knowledge is always obtained through experience. This is why you should only listen to your own inner voice and your own ability to know, intuitively know situations, and never, ever, ever look outside of yourself and take somebody else's word for something over your own, or take somebody else's word for something that you've never experienced before. You don't have any factual information of your own to relate to it or that lets you know that it's true. So trust yourself, trust your own intuition, trust what you know through experience, what you know through your own perception about things, and believe that whatever guidance you're going to need in a situation isn't going to come to you through an outsider. It's going to come to you through your own inner voice, your own feeling, emotional state that is perceiving reality. Because that, if nothing else, that you have an experience of, that you know is real. So that's kind of like the idea between what separates reality from illusion is the minute we have to invest ourselves in a theoretical idea that's out here that we have no proof for, we're creating a form of illusion. We're creating a reality in our mind that doesn't actually exist. So trust what's in your heart. Trust yourself. Educate yourself, learn, develop, and always go with what you feel in your heart.